Week 4, day 4 in your workbook is called the prophets. All right, so the Old Testament has 39 books, and so far we've covered 19. And so we're going to cover the remaining 20 books today and tomorrow. No time for chit chat. Let's go, girls. All right, so our workbook does not present the books of the prophets in the order that they appear in our Old Testament, because what would be the challenge in that? Instead, Angie has grouped them according to when the events described occurred. Okay, so first today we have 3 prophets who all spoke to Israel before the northern kingdom fell to the Assyrians. All right, so we have the prophet Jonah. You may remember Jonah from his unpleasant time spent in the belly of the great fish. All right, so God had sent Jonah to preach to Nineveh, which is in Assyria. So Jonah was not too gung-ho about that. So the prophet Amos, Amos's book is about repentance. Amos preached repentance for God's people to turn back to him. The prophet Hosea. All right, Hosea. God had Hosea marry the town prostitute Gomer as an illustration of God's love for his people. So, and Jonah thought that he had a tough assignment. So, all right, next our workbook covers 6 prophets who preached in Judah before the southern kingdom fell to the Babylonians. Judah was where Jerusalem was. All right, so there are 16 prophets that have written for our Old Testament. All right, 4 of them, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel, are called the major prophets because their writings are longer. The remaining 12 are called the minor prophets because their writings are very short. For instance, the book of Jonah is 2 pages long. Big fish, short book. All right, so first of all, we're going to start with, we're going to do 2 of the majors today. We're going to do Isaiah and Jeremiah. All right, so Isaiah foretold specific details about Jesus hundreds of years before his birth. Isaiah called Jesus Emmanuel, which means God with us. It's a beautiful book. It's a long book, but it is a beautiful book. All right, so before we get to Jeremiah in our workbook, she gives 3 other minor prophets writing at the same time to Judah. Micah, who also predicted details about Jesus, including that he would be born in Bethlehem. Zephaniah, who warned about the day of the Lord, which is God's impending judgment. And Habakkuk, who also warned of God's judgment. All right, so that brings us last to Jeremiah for today. And Jeremiah is called the weeping prophet because he mourned the downfall of Jerusalem. He also wrote the book of Lamentations, which follows Jeremiah. And it's also about the destruction of Jerusalem and about the destruction of the temple. It's sad stuff, and he pulls no punches. And and then Angie says, and I think that's enough for today. And I do too. See you tomorrow.